Atheist Nomads, episode 203. Happy birthday, President Trump. In other words, fuck you, asshole.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin.
And I'm Lauren.
And Wesley is on the phone with Project Phi. Yes, our patrons heard about this last week. Everybody else didn't have to hear the woe of his phone tale. Because, yeah, he lost his phone number when somebody said that the number he'd had for like 15 years had been in use by somebody else for a year and a half. And support called him, and he has been like continuously getting put on hold. So
yeah, it's been what, almost an hour?
It's been over an hour since he told me he was on hold with them.
So poor Wesley.
Yeah, and Lauren wasn't going to join in because she's not feeling well, but she felt sorry for me.
I'm never feeling well, but I felt particularly sad. So poor Dustin all by his lonesome. That, and I knew that he wasn't going to be able to be finished before midnight if we didn't just go ahead and record. So
yeah.
So here I are.
That is how things can go.
As long as I don't move, I'm good.
All right. And of course, I've already crashed the laptop, so I'm just going to use my phone for now.
Okay.
For dusting off the degree, we have, we talked about two stories last week that would affect things like, well, one of them we hinted would, and then I edited out much of what I said about personal impact of it. But, and then we had another story that actually did cover it, but I think that one might have been patron only. I think it was actually. But anyway, religiously affiliated hospitals.
I was going to say, no, so none of us know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry. So I have worked in religiously affiliated hospitals. In college, I did a hospital chaplaincy class, and I spent a quarter doing rounds in the hospital every week. I spent a weekend on call as the chaplain on call, and came down with a horrible cold. It was very unfortunate. It wasn't the flu, because if it had been influenza, I could have actually gotten some help for it. I even had to report it to the infectious control nurse because I had a fever of 103.
That's all we need. Our chaplains wandering around hospitals spreading colds everywhere.
I'm going to blame the hospital on giving it to me.
That's true.
Yeah, but with and also professionally, since then, I have both of us have worked in hospitals to varying degrees, and
kind of.
There is this argument that, like, the Supreme Court used in a ruling to allow religiously affiliated hospitals to get exempted from the Federal Retirement Security Act. I don't think that's the actual name of it, but it's a 1970s law to protect employees from their employers stealing their pensions.
Right, sounds like a great law.
Churches were exempted, and a number of religiously affiliated hospitals recently sued, and the Supreme Court ruled they're churches, so they get to be exempted too.
My mind blown. Because a hospital is more like a for-profit business than it is a church. Of course, some churches are more like for-profit businesses.
Oh, like the ones that have coffee shops in them?
Yeah, the ones that sell T-shirts at the door.
But there's also the whole thing with the exemption that's in place for the healthcare mandate for the Affordable Care Act, or not the healthcare mandate, the contraceptive mandate that allows religiously affiliated hospitals to opt out. Fortunately, Obama did put in place a provision that requires them to notify the insurance company, who then contracts with the federal government and takes care of that.
Kind of closes the gap.
Closes the gap to make sure that just because you work for a Catholic hospital, you don't have to live by their beliefs. And the creepy thing with it, you look at a lot of hospitals and they call themselves, the Catholics in particular do this, they call them ministries.
Oh, right. I see that a lot at our hospital.
It is part of a regional health ministry. So not a regional, like, you don't have a regional manager, you have a well, it's hospitals. You have CEOs and CEOs upon CEOs who report to VPs. And but the whole ministry thing, yeah, there was a time when they were. You look at the original hospitals. They were created by the Hospitallers, a order of monk knights from the Crusades, who, when they saw all the people bleeding and dying in the battlefield, decided that rather than just killing people, maybe it'd be a good idea to try to help save some of these dying people. And when the Crusades were done, they stopped fighting because there was no one left to fight, and they started setting up hospitals, which is where we get the word hospital from. It's from a Catholic order. Then you have more recently
fighting monks.
Fighting monks.
That should be a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, it is the Kingdom of Heaven. The God wills it. Monks are monk knights. Crusaders are Hospitallers.
Oh,
yeah. They were brutal. They were terrible. They were among the worst. Literally among the worst, especially in that movie. But anyway, as time progressed, you started getting, and part of this was just with the way, actually a lot of it was just with the Jesuit order. They pushed education a lot. They set up a lot of schools. They also set up a lot of hospitals. And the basic way that worked was priests set up schools, nuns set up hospitals.
Right.
And so Catholics created lots of hospitals. Adventists got in on the hospital game very early with John Harvey Kellogg starting Battle Creek Sanitarium. And then the Adventist Church actually started opening up their own actually church-owned hospitals, and are now in many places, they're some of the largest healthcare organizations. If you were to actually combine, like merge all of the Adventist ones into one, and all the Catholic ones into one, and all the Methodist hospitals into one, and so on and so forth, for the religious hospitals, it'd be Catholics and then Adventists. And combined, I think Adventists and Catholic, I think Catholic hospitals combined would be the largest hospital network in the country.
So does Adventist hospitals do a ministry as well? Focus on a ministry?
They haven't really much since they realized in the 80s that putting pastors in charge of hospitals was a bad idea.
Ah.
And they started hiring actual business people to administer them competently. And the role of pastors in the hospitals was relegated to being chaplains. And the church involvement with them has mostly been helping supply staff by encouraging members to go to college and become doctors and nurses, and probably some very high-level board involvement. But you even get weird cases like a deal is going through right now where Adventist Health is transferring Walla Walla General Hospital to Providence Health, which is the Northwest's largest Catholic healthcare organization. And Catholics have traditionally hated Adventists. Catholics and Adventists directly compete for research funding and grants for their hospitals. But for Adventist Health to have one hospital in Washington wasn't doing them any good. And the reason they transferred it to their arch enemies, the Catholics, was because they tried to set up a physician group. I think it was Walla Walla Medical Group. And it failed miserably. They went into so much debt. Then they tried doing some renovations and expansion and went deeper into debt. And they have been suffering ever since. They have not been able to recover from the debts. And so Adventist Health
sold out.
Is just giving it away. Yep. Give it away in exchange for Providence taking over the debts. And if you transfer it to your enemy, that's not a ministry. That's a business.
Yeah.
When you go around and you acquire everything you possibly can, like it's one thing when you have one Catholic health organization absorbing another Catholic health organization. That just looks like good economies of scale and just a better way of doing it. When it's a Catholic health organization, like we'll use Providence as a good example, they keep buying up local community hospitals.
The secular hospitals.
Yeah, secular hospitals. Acquiring them. That looks like business.
Yeah, it really does.
If you're trying to call it a ministry, yeah, that kind of makes sense. If you're going with a doctrine where healthcare is a ministry, then yes, it would make sense to create new hospitals, open hospitals to help serve underserved communities. That would be great. Do that. Don't buy up secular hospitals and then put them under your draconian rules. At least when Adventists do it, the only thing that changes is the menu in the cafeteria. It's not like Catholic hospitals where they might turn you away mid-miscarriage to go home and die because there's a fetal heartbeat.
Yeah.
Might. It has happened on a few occasions. It is not definitely not sure if that is official policy.
Well, they would never admit it if it was.
Right, because that's murder.
Because it's terrible. Kind of freaks me out a little.
Yeah, it is. It's terrifying, and it's all based on this. Well, one thing the Adventists have held on to, despite the fact that the hospitals are not all that directly controlled by the church, they do still consider healthcare to be a ministry. So they consider going to medical school or the seminary both to be callings. They consider becoming a nurse a calling. It's really only like actual ministry, nursing, doctor, education. They consider all those to be callings and kind of ministries, but they don't run the hospitals as ministries.
No.
And nobody does. They are large, multi-billion-dollar for-profit corporations that compete with the actual for-profit ones. The only thing that's different is they spend as much money as they can to make sure they don't actually show a profit, which means buying up more hospitals and expanding their growth.
And buying into more expensive treatments.
Mm-hmm. Buying new equipment, which then allows for charging higher costs.
Yeah. Yeah, you see how that's turning out?
Which then allows for
rising healthcare costs.
More profit that they have to reinvest into raising costs more. Yeah, it's fucked up.
Better than paying off shareholders, I guess.
Yeah, except the difference is if you have shareholders, they are going to demand that you be responsible with the money.
Not if it fills their pockets.
Oh, so it can fill their pockets. You can't just go on a buying spree and buy all the fanciest, most expensive equipment, because that means they aren't getting profit.
That's true.
It is one of those cases where profit may actually not be bad. However, with healthcare, it obviously is, because if you look at the actual for-profit hospitals, they charge far more than even the most corrupt and money-grubbing of private nonprofits.
Yeah, we have the perfect little examples here in the Treasure Valley area, where we've got two not-for-profit, one profit, for-profit, and we get to see the prices that fluctuate between the three of them, and it's insane.
Yeah. Oh, and these are, to give you an idea of the scale with these, you have St. Alphonsus, which has 4 hospitals in the valley and is part of Trinity Health, which is the largest Catholic healthcare organization in the United States. You have St. Luke's, which is loosely Episcopalian and is the single largest employer in the state of Idaho, to give you an idea of their size. And the Healthcare Corporation of America, which is the largest hospital body in the country, with I think it's over 300 hospitals, and they're for-profit. They got into a lot of trouble about 15 years ago for massive Medicare and Medicaid fraud. A bunch of the executives went to prison, and their CEO, Rick Scott, then got elected governor of Florida.
Funny how that all works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, it is time for our first break and then news. But the final point, hospitals are businesses, not ministries. Seriously. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com.
Hey, we're also brought to you by listeners just like you. Find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheist nomads. That's patreon.com/atheist nomads.
Oh, and for a little bit more on why we aren't waiting for Wesley, we normally record on Tuesday, and then I have Wednesday evening to edit and get the show out. And Tuesday was yesterday, and it was our anniversary.
Yay! We're babies. We're still newlyweds, like 2 years.
Second anniversary, and so yeah, we went out to dinner and didn't record. And so
which I think Dustin is partially regretting now.
Yeah,
he got a crap steak.
Yeah, but Lauren bought steaks at the store today, and I grilled them up, and they were much better.
Yeah, try to make it up to him. I had a great dinner. Lobster and shrimp Alfredo. Delicious.
Yeah, and so we did wait for Wesley a little bit, but I don't want to be editing until midnight, so that's why we decided to go ahead and start.
Okay, all we really need is hello, everybody.
And so we have a couple news updates. First off, the San Antonio mayor, Ivy Taylor, who we talked about a few weeks ago, saying that atheism and godlessness is the cause of poverty. She lost her re-election.
Yay. Smite.
Yeah. And we also talked about a bill Texas is working on to require cremation or burial of aborted remains. That is now law.
That is so creepy. What an extra hassle. Well, that's exactly what it's all about.
Now, this is one that I definitely expect will fail in court because it is intentionally and obviously designed to discourage abortion and make abortion more burdensome in a state that has already made it as burdensome as they can get away with in courts. And then some. And the biggest reason for that is because if you have a miscarriage at home or in the hospital, you don't have to bury or cremate the remains. Those can just be disposed as medical waste or flushed down the toilet.
Well, they don't get flushed down the toilet.
Okay. You get my point. Medical waste.
Okay.
Medical waste. But if it's an abortion, no, it can't be. Even if it's a early stage chemical abortion at home, nope, you have to collect the remains and have them cremated.
As if anybody's actually going to follow up with that. I mean, how many people... Not everybody goes around telling everybody that they're pregnant and that they're getting an abortion.
My guess with a law like this is that they actually will be enforcing it, which would mean checking records to see who's had abortions and checking up to make sure there's documented evidence of proper disposal of the remains.
Which they prove how?
Is there documentation, yes or no? If no, here's a fine.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Isn't that discriminatory against women? Yep.
Which is why this is going to fail in court.
Let's say they're going to have to go through the extra costs and everything.
Right. And the ruling of the current standing in the Supreme Court on abortion restrictions is not that you can't restrict them. It's that you can't if it doesn't have valid medical justification and it isn't designed to just make abortion more burdensome.
This clearly does.
Yeah. That is its only purpose.
That's like forcing, it's like, okay, now you have to kiss it goodbye by law.
Right. Well, that's what all the transvaginal ultrasound bills are designed to do.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move off of that and into some new news, or kind of. This is also, I guess, a bit of an update. Jerry Falwell.
Hey, we know him.
Yeah. We've heard rumors about him getting some kind of gig in the Trump administration. Well,
I call it tiddling. He's tiddling with the Trump administration.
Well, now he's actually got one.
So now he's twaddled.
It's been leaked out that he will be leading a task force to reform higher education regulations. Yes, leading it.
Oh my God.
The head of Liberty University will be leading a task force on higher education reform.
We are doomed.
And he's also been asked about his opinions of other college and university presidents that are being considered for this. Yeah. That is not going to go well.
No, it's not. Actually, the entire administration is not going to go well, as been proven over and over again.
Yeah, when I shared this one on Facebook and Twitter, Jonathan Areola asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is this? And it's not one that's not something I can really answer, because it's terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. I think on a how scary is this scale, it's a 10, because you have a Christian dominionist trying to decide how higher education should be run, and he has agendas that are not what we want. On the other hand, regulation reform task forces tend to be highly ineffective.
Yeah, that's true, especially nowadays. So it's
and if it's
kind of moot almost,
right? If they actually do get changes, odds are those policies will be short-lived
or ignored,
or just be ignored, or not do a goddamn thing, because regulation of private schools is lax anyway, and public schools are regulated by their states too.
Yes, good point.
This is one of those rare cases where states' rights actually suggests that we might be protected from crazy rules.
From the Falwell.
Yeah. And we're going to hold off on Wesley's stories until he joins, if he is so able. But Norway has proposed a ban on full face veils in nurseries, schools, and universities under the claim that it hinders communication between students and teachers. And this has the support of most parties in the country and is expected to pass next year.
I don't know. I'm not convinced that it hinders communication unless there is perhaps a special needs child. But all you're going to get are eye rolls anyway. Teenagers.
Well, the opponents of this say this isn't a problem. Not because it couldn't cause communication difficulties. There's just not enough women in the country wearing face veils.
Yeah, it's a cover-up for pure discrimination.
Specifically targeting literally dozens of people.
Yeah, out of the entire country.
Dozens of people. In the odds
they wasted time and money on this.
And if any of them are actually working in those jobs, maybe one or two?
Or students?
I think it's teachers.
Very many. Either way.
Right. Either way, not many. But this is ridiculous. This is a bill to solve a problem, a discriminatory bill to solve a problem that doesn't exist. And if it was an actual problem, there was documented evidence that this was happening and it was causing problems, then some policies might be worthwhile.
But that would still be almost a case-by-case basis, because it would happen so infrequently.
And I don't think you need rules like that for problems that aren't happening. It would be like creating a law saying that it's illegal to walk on the moon.
Yeah, that's...
Wait, what? No, that's not something that people in Idaho... That kind of
brings a tear to my eye, actually.
People in Idaho don't do that.
Nobody's going to walk on the moon ever again.
Well, I mean like a state law saying, no, you can't walk on the moon.
Well, they have laws like that all over the place. You can't fish off the back of a giraffe, I think is one famous one in Boise. You can't be in city limits without smiling in Pocatello.
Coeur d'Alene, it's illegal to buy your sweetheart less than...
Is it 2 pounds?
It's 2 pounds of chocolate.
Yeah. So obviously, people make stuff up, and they'll be dutifully ignored.
There's also, with weird Idaho laws, there's a law in the books that says that single men can't own sheep. Yet there are also laws that say that you cannot...
It's always the sheep.
You can't secretly take pictures or video on farms to try to collect evidence of people sexually assaulting animals.
Or abuse. Just
or
general
abusing them in
abuse.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, that one made the rounds a couple years ago.
Right, which brings us to Israel. Yes, the Israel Defense Force has a new chief rabbi who's been selected to replace the current one who's retiring. And unfortunately, there are a number of concerning things that Colonel Eyal Karim has said that have come to light. In the interest of troop morale, it's okay to rape Gentiles during war times.
Holy shit! Back that up. It's okay to rape Gentiles.
Yeah, non-Jewish women.
Jesus.
Which, considering where Israel is, that means if they're fighting in the Palestinian territories,
Yeah.
they can rape Palestinian women.
I'm glad it's just an opinion and not policy.
Right, but Chief Rabbi, that's that. He
would never fly, though.
He'd be the equivalent of the Chief of Chaplain Services in the U.S. military. Granted, in our case, each branch has one. They have just a single one for the entire Defense Force, but holy shit, yeah. Oh, to boost morale, it's okay because they're not Jewish women, so
they're less than property.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. He also thinks that women should not be conscripted.
Please.
Because they can't maintain appropriate modesty while performing military service.
Yeah, I got nothing. My mind just blanked. Just like, what are you? So, at what point would modesty be an issue in military service unless you were stripping down to a tank top or going swimming? Or is he just saying women in general are immodest?
Women in public exposing their hair.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid sexist.
I've heard lots of reasons for why women should not be subjected to drafts or conscription. And in Israel, it is absolutely 100% compulsory conscription. And some do get to go into other services other than just the military. And when I crossed the border into Israel, most of the border guards at the crossing were 18, 19, 20-year-old Israeli women doing their national service.
If you're going to make everybody do it, make everybody do it.
Mm-hmm. The worst arguments, that is absolutely the worst argument I've heard. Better ones are, we need women to make sure we can repopulate the world.
Well, there's plenty of women out there, so that's not an issue.
That one hasn't really been an issue in, a few centuries.
Their menstrual cycles will all line up and impede military offense movements.
That's a good bullshit one. But yeah, and his isn't even just, women shouldn't be serving in active military combat roles. It's just, nope, they should not be conscripted at all into any kind of service. And the third example I have is women should not be able to sing at Israel Defense Force ceremonies.
That blows my mind too. Actually, that's just, this guy is obviously just petty and sexist. And
the rationale is that if some men are going to be offended by a woman singing, some Orthodox Jewish men, I would counter that with the fact that most Jews that Orthodox get exemptions from conscription anyway, so they wouldn't have that issue. But if they don't, then tough luck.
Yeah, you're in the freaking military. You follow their rules.
So he thinks that, in those cases, then they should select someone who would be inoffensive to everyone, therefore a man.
And I'm usually the one for not offending anybody, but that's going the wrong way.
And he thinks in the highly unlikely scenario where you cannot find a man who can perform, then you go ahead and book the woman and warn everyone so that the offended ones and make sure they can be excused so they can not attend.
So I find that would be more offensive to all the women that are in the military than it would for the few men that are offended in the military.
Oh, silly Lauren.
Oh, wait.
They don't
silly
matter.
Women showing off their hair. How dare they?
So since all this has come to light, women's rights groups and several members of the Knesset have come out in very vocal opposition to his appointment.
Good.
including an Arab-Israeli member of the Knesset on their committee on women's rights.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it is time for our second break, and then we have some feedback. We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us at atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. From Randy on Facebook, I'm reading a great book, Homo Deus. Thanks, Penn Jillette. The author makes the point that more people die from coke, sugar, than terrorism. Yeah, but terrorism is more terrifying.
Yeah, bombs are scarier than diabetes.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to clarify that Penn Jillette is not the author.
Probably just told him about it.
Probably just said it on a show or something. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, that makes sense. But no, if you look at the numbers, sugar kills more people than terrorism. Cigarettes kill more people than sugar. If we wanted to save lives, you would get people to stop smoking and cut way back on sugar. Like, soft drinks would probably just straight up be banned, period, regardless.
Or have pictures of foot ulcers printed on the label.
And amputated eyes.
Oh, God, and just guts. Just pictures of people's guts sticking out, all Walmart-y.
And yes, that is all more terrifying than terrorism, or should be more terrifying than terrorism, but it's not. And the whole point of terrorism is to terrorize people, i.e. to scare them. And it works, and governments are overreacting in response to that, and everybody loses. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Coke and Camel will continue to kill.
Nice.
Silently.
Print that on a shirt.
Oh man, I was really hoping Wesley'd be here for this one, but oh well. Did you know that bald men are magical?
Bald men are magical.
Yes, their heads are full of gold, according to some superstitious people in Mozambique, who have, so far, killed 2 last month and 3 this month.
Killed bald men.
Yep.
For their gold.
Yep.
In their head.
They're hunting down bald men to collect the gold from their heads.
Well, now I know why Meredith is with Wesley.
Yeah, so now bald men in that country are hiding, afraid to leave their homes or covering their heads before leaving if they absolutely have to go outside.
And we were talking about this one earlier where it's your initial gut reaction is that's ridiculous, and then when you get to the part where people have died, actually died and are threatened, it is terrifying.
Right.
It's like the witch hunts. It's just terrible.
Well, and if you look around at Africa, the different people that are getting hunted, you've got albinos, where they are routinely getting hunted and, in some cases, eaten, or being hunted and killed to stop bad luck. You've got people suspected of witchcraft getting hunted down and murdered. You've got
anybody with a genetic disability.
Right. And a lot of that murder isn't because of, any kind of eugenics. They don't really have that going on there. This is straight up superstitious bullshit, and it is lethal.
Yeah.
It is so easy for us here in the West to think that, oh no, superstition, oh, that's so benign. It's just those people with crystal balls at the street fair and people trying to not step on cracks. It's not all benign.
No, in fact, there are parts in the world where, it does cause a lot of people to die. A lot of women, especially. Which kind of, I hear this article and the part of me is like, well, what about, bald men? Okay, a couple people have died. What about all the hundreds of women? But that's a different story.
And we've talked about those as well.
Yes. There's all sorts of stories that come up when it comes to religion and superstition.
Oh, heck, we even did a special episode with I forgot his name, but...
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He was helping in Africa with a camp helping women accused of witchcraft.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Helping save them. And not save them from... Not save their souls, but actually save them, provide medical care and safety from angry mobs of superstitious bullshit.
Well, I mean, and that was kind of brought to light, especially during the Ebola crisis, when people refused to give up their superstitious beliefs for the sake of public health.
Yeah.
Which apparently has broken out again. Yay. And polio. In Congo. It sucks.
God damn.
Yeah, right. It's just never ending.
Yeah, and with the superstition, it is worth noting, the superstition here in the U.S., it appears benign because it's not killing people. But those fortune tellers still rob people out of every single penny.
Yep.
And the alt-med practitioners, which a lot of alternative medicine is just straight up superstitious bullshit. I think calling it woo is giving it too much credit. Sublimation,
chiropractic, homeopathy. Oh man, the list goes on.
It's basically, it's just modern superstition. Acupuncture I would definitely include in that list as well. And they are promising people things they cannot deliver and robbing them blind.
Yeah.
And one of the most egregious is functional and integrative medicine. It's where you have the mix of woo superstitious bullshit and actual medicine.
I get where they're coming from, where you need to have like a, you need to have the person going through physical treatment as well as like mental.
Right.
Some people call it spiritual, you know, to,
holistic healing.
Holistic healing. I get that. And that is the bedside manner that goes with that is much better for the person's outcome. But some of this stuff is just abusive.
That would be okay if that's what functional integrated medicine is.
But that's not what they do.
It's not. They take perfectly healthy people who come in. They order 15 different lab orders.
Or more.
15, 20, 25. And then no insurance is going to cover that. If they even provide a diagnosis code, it's not going to cover most of those tests.
It's almost always fatigue. Just in case any of you guys out there wonder... Everybody has fatigue. It's not just you.
It's called getting tired.
No, fatigue is different.
Right, but if
a lot of people have it.
But if you want to say everybody has fatigue, yeah, everybody gets fatigued on occasion.
Yeah. And a lot of people, it affects their daily life, but going and getting a hormone panel of 50 tests isn't going to solve the problem.
Right.
But it is going to make somebody rich.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
There's that.
Yep. And then they take all these results and they look at them as creatively as possible to try to figure out what's wrong with you. So, okay, your EOS is high. That's one of the white blood cell count numbers. And your albumin is just a little bit low. And let's see. Oh, your glucose is 2 points above the middle of normal. Still normal, but it's just a little bit high. And your thyroid. Oh, that's just way too normal. Yeah, you're dying. Yeah.
You can tell we work in the industry, can't you?
Not complementary in alternative medicine, but laboratory. Yeah.
Lab work. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, and then when they complain about issues.
Okay, now we're just venting about work.
Oh, it is so hard to troubleshoot what's going on with one order when you're looking through 15.
Yeah.
Holy shit, there are so many anyway, yeah. Man. Okay, so it is time for our time for our final break. And no, before the break, we're going to do a funny one.
Okay.
Yes, Jim Baker was talking with Jennifer LeClaire of Charisma News and had the following to say about Pat Robertson.
He sees in the spirit, and he prophesies, and they don't like it. He's told hurricanes and all to go back out to sea, and they turn around and go out. And the press makes fun. That's what they do to try to destroy. Yeah. So we need all these angels, these warring angels.
Yes. Oh, God. Anybody who knows anything about meteorology know that hurricanes will always return back to the ocean.
That or they...
landfall and destroy everything.
And then disintegrate.
And
disperse. he specifically claims to have turned 2 hurricanes back into the ocean. What about all the rest?
Yeah, what about Katrina? Oh, wait, it only affected black people, so that didn't count? No, that was bullshit. But
if he actually has this kind of power, he should be using it every single time. He should be providing a shield of protection around the United States. And if he could do that, I would be all for paying him a $10 billion a year salary. Put him on retainer just to pray away the hurricanes. But no, he can't. He got lucky twice.
It's like the people who claim that they can pray away the gay, but the outness of gay people has increased like exponentially in the past couple of years. It's like, so that's obviously not working.
Right. Well, and his examples are all old because it was before gay people started attracting hurricanes.
Oh, right, because they only have existed for the past 15 years.
Right. And,
right.
They all try to target San Francisco, obviously. God's aim is just a little bit off.
Yeah, it just hits the South all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, aiming for...
That is funny. That is...
Aiming for San Francisco, hit the Bible Belt.
Yep, every time.
Yep.
Funny.
Yep. But no, it's... When you throw out prediction after prediction and make claim after claim after claim, if you make enough and you keep everything vague until after the fact, like if you pray every time a hurricane comes, God, please turn this hurricane away, let your will be done, then if it doesn't, it was God's will. God willed it. God wills it. And if God turns it away, it was a win. You turned that hurricane away.
Yeah, because God is that fickle.
And if he's doing that 10 times a year, 20 times a year, it's easy to rack up a couple hits.
Right, that's how psychics work.
Yeah. It's, if anything...
You glorify your hits and you ignore them and you write off the misses as, the will of the spirits or whatever.
Right. And if anything, it's shocking his numbers are so low. Only 2?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You're BSing this anyway. You might as well BS the numbers here.
Right.
Every single hurricane that's gone back out to the sea, you could have claimed that, man. Ah, what a noob.
Oh, man, if he really wanted to try to claim it, any that dissipated quickly, any that didn't kill anybody, that was me. That was me.
That was all me. Nope. What a failure.
I called on God to break it up, and it broke up. Yep. And it only killed the bad people.
Sucks as a charlatan. What can we say?
As a listener of the show, I'm going to assume.
All right, now it's time for a break.
Sexy vocal stylings. If you love the rest of the show as much as my voice, consider giving us the resources we desperately need to purchase quality cocaine and Red Bull. We make it super easy to make a one-time donation or to support us on a per-episode, monthly, or even annual basis using PayPal or Patreon. Find out more at atheistnomads.com. Use the links on the right side of the page. $1 an episode is all we ask.
All right, so now, and since Wesley hasn't joined us yet and Lauren hasn't gone off to bed, she's still here with us for good news.
Yay! I have been ragging on Dustin a lot because all the news is depressing and sad and it stresses me out. So good news is very good news.
And there have been more good news stories this year than in, I think, every year prior.
Good. Great, even.
The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the injunction against Donald Trump's second travel ban, the one that he doesn't like anyway. So now it's headed to the U.S. Supreme Court, even though he doesn't like it anyway. However, it is interesting that the Ninth Circuit did take the motivation into account, as they should, and they quoted some of his tweets.
Oh, like the use of the word travel ban?
Yeah.
After claiming that it wasn't a ban?
Yep.
Yeah, shot himself in the foot.
And they also quoted. The Supreme Court doesn't tweet.
Oh, thank God.
They cited Sean Spicer, who said that those tweets should be, quote, considered official statements by the President of the United States.
And how?
So when the official press secretary of the President of the United States says, yes, that is the word of the President.
Go Feifei.
Then, yep, Supreme Court, they can use that.
Sorry. Oh, is that old now? Is that old hat?
That was old the first day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh,
but yeah, you can't trust anything that man tweets.
And it got so annoying when, after so many people had been making jokes about it, people started complaining about how all they see is that. And then they're adding to it more.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. It was like the one time somebody at work replied to a users group with thousands of people on that email list. And then I had to keep ignoring the conversations as probably, well, the first 10 people replied saying, please remove me from this group. No, just somebody shouldn't have emailed that group. And then like 20 people replied saying, please stop replying. Please stop replying. Please stop replying. Please stop replying. I wanted to kill all those people saying, please stop replying. One is enough.
Oh, Dustin. That's
Sorry.
why you drink.
I'm getting venti. Oh, and speaking of drinking, I am drinking Mother Earth Brewing Company's Syntax Imperial Stout.
Very nice.
And it has a nice picture of a devil lady.
Of a bosomy lady.
Bosomy devil lady. She has horns and a tail.
Oh. Scantily clad.
Mm-hmm. So,
better to sell your beer with.
Yes. Especially if you're calling it syntax.
Oh, sin. Oh, I was thinking syntax like grammar.
Oh, no.
Sin.
No.
Tax.
Sin. S-I-N-T-A-X.
Got it. Oh, that's clever.
And you bought it.
No, I stole it from my sister who bought it.
Oh.
That was part of the big beer fest that we were having up.
Got it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Good times.
Irish soccer player Ewan O'Kane and his fiance, model, and atheist activist. She's not the model of the fiance. She is his fiance, and she is a model. And she is an atheist activist.
Woo!
And I've heard some reports of this that have put it as an Irish soccer player, model, and atheist activist, all making it sound like it's all one person. No, it's two. Anyway, they have won a lawsuit that will allow humanist celebrants to officiate, well, a humanist celebrant to officiate their wedding in Northern Ireland. And additionally, thanks to the Belfast High Court ruling, this will apply to all couples going forward.
Yeah, wait, humanists weren't allowed to officiate before?
In Northern Ireland.
Oh, well, that seems a little backwards.
I believe they were I know they were in England and Scotland, and I believe they were in Wales.
Okay, well.
And now finally Northern Ireland.
Welcome to the fold. That's awesome.
Actually, does Wales even do they even have their own courts?
I don't know.
Yeah. They're officially a country now, not just a principality.
Then they would have their own court.
Or kind of. It's weird. Anyway, yeah, this is cool. They won. And humanists win.
Aw. Well, congratulations to the happy couple and their awesome sexy future babies.
Yeah. Bill C-51 in Canada has the goal of clarifying sexual assault laws. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And cleaning up the criminal code, removing laws that are unconstitutional, outdated, and redundant.
Oh my gosh, we need that so bad.
So, on their way out are laws that prohibit possessing or publishing crime comics.
Oh, that's so cute.
Fraudulently pretending to practice witchcraft.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
That's like triple redundant.
Yeah, because witchcraft is naturally fraudulent.
And naturally pretend. And if you're pretending, then that's kind of fraudulent.
No, it's only fraudulent if they're making you pay for them to pretend. So there is a leeway there.
All right, yeah.
You can still pretend as long as you don't charge people for it.
And publishing blasphemous libel.
Yeah, that's way to update the code, guys. That's,
publishing blasphemous libel.
What does that even mean? So-and-so is an atheist, even though they're not?
I think
just to smear them?
I think it'd be more like writing something where you call someone a goddamn something.
No, that's too generic.
Like, you, sir, are a goddamn son of a bitch. Oh, there is blasphemy, because you said goddamn. And it is libel, because his mother is not a dog.
Aw.
So, yeah, blasphemous libel. Yep.
Okay.
Or who knows what. That could easily be one of those laws that it's so old and it's been so long since anybody actually enforced it.
The vocabulary has been lost and changed over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, hilarious.
And finally, Norodin Elanto Lukman, a Muslim former politician and traditional clan leader. Clan as in tribal clan. Make sure that's clear.
Thank you. Okay.
On the Filipino island of Mindanao, which is in the midst of a rebellion with the Islamic State of Lanao, the ISIS-backed group has been targeting Christians, causing most to flee to safety, but 64 who were too poor or ill or otherwise unable to escape were welcomed into Lukman's home, where he protected and fed them.
64 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
A Muslim inviting 64 Christians in his home to protect them from other Muslims.
How very Christian of him.
How very Muslim of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when the conditions allowed, he helped them get across the battle lines to safety after advising them to respond to questions about whether or not they are Christian with Allahu Akbar to avoid execution.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's insane. I mean, I knew that area was messed up, but it's good to hear, hear stories like that.
Right. The normal stories you get there are terrorist attacks and mass murders and rebel fighting.
It's like Mr. Rogers says, you always have to look for the helpers.
Yeah.
There are always helpers.
It's one of those things where when things get worse, the worst is when the heroes can be seen.
Yeah.
And it's not that the heroes aren't there when times are good. It's just they don't have the opportunity to rise to the occasion. And I think the best kind of person to be and the luckiest life to have is to be a hero who never has to prove it.
Aw,
He unfortunately was in a situation where he needed to prove it. And even though Muslims are a minority in the Philippines, on that island, they are by and large a huge majority. And he was rich and as privileged as possible. He'd been in politics. He had traditional clan leadership. So he was basically nobility. And he took advantage of that to protect people.
That's awesome.
It really is.
Yay, good news.
Yeah. All right. And we have a voicemail from Jonathan Ariola.
Hi. So, carrots are winning. I'm going to have to agree with you folks. That if you look at all the sociological and psychological and neuroscience that's involved with how to persuade people and radicalization and historical aspects of what's happened before with things like the Weatherman Underground during the race riots and other aspects like that, with the Black Rights Movement. We're doing exactly the opposite thing of what we should be doing, which you have stated. However, the thing that I find about this is that we are talking to a group of people that don't even understand the concept of history or sociology or psychology or neuroscience. They don't get this shit at all. So even when we come up with decent construction ideas on what to do on the ground, move this here, don't blow up that, try to talk to this guy, that lady, this ad campaign, whatever it is, we're just barking up the wrong tree because they don't get this stuff. They don't care. They just want the bad thing to go away. It reminds me of a conversation with a personal friend of mine where we were talking about stuff in the Middle East, and he just basically said, like, I just want the world to blow up after I die. I don't care how it happens or what's going on. Just turn the whole thing into a big old plate of glass.
All right, so I need to stop him there. I've been to the Middle East. I fortunately did not go to fight. I went to dig up old things. And I got a pretty good look at the Middle East of life in Jordan, one of the most peaceful countries there. And I got to know the people. And they're good people. They just want to live their lives. They want to be free. They want to be safe. They just want to live. And one of the best solutions to problems like that, more people need to travel.
Yeah. You need to travel or meet your neighbors who are refugees or not from someplace that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And plus, to say nobody in the Middle East understands this stuff, of course they do.
They understand it very well.
There's plenty of educated people who understand psychology and sociology and history, especially.
Yeah, and if you look at Jordan, they definitely understand terrorism. They have worked away in their system in their country where they can shut down everything in 15 minutes flat. Like literally all traffic stopped, everyone stopped, nobody is moving in the entire country. So if something happens, they can respond quickly. Yeah, it's a little bit terrifying when you're driving around and every 10 minutes down the highway, you see paramilitary police with assault rifles and a Humvee, but they can respond to terrorism. And Jordan has also been more effective than most countries at avoiding the radicalization. The big problem is when instability starts, radicalization becomes easy because they can offer you safety. And
that's what it's all about.
Because as far
everybody
as
wants to be safe.
The ability and the thought
Yep.
and the empathy and the sympathy on trying to understand anyone in the Middle East is just so far beyond his capability. He just doesn't care anymore. It doesn't matter about the stuff in Syria. It doesn't matter about the stuff in Egypt. It doesn't matter about things in Afghanistan or in Iraq or in Iran. It just wants it all to go away. And honestly, I think a lot of people who are currently in office are in the same boat. They just want it to go away. And the way they think it'll go away is if we just blow it up. If we just treat them like the Nazis. Maybe we just blow them up. It'll be fine. Everything will go away and it'll be okay. And obviously, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And I wish we had some way of making them understand, trying to get people to get that there's some truth to this. Doing the whole pro-truth pledge thing with Dr. Gluck-Zapersky, sure. And I hope more people pick it up. But it's going to take a whole cultural change for people like my friend to actually give a shit again. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, but at least let's try. All right, love the show as always. Leslie, Dustin, and you too, I should say. One growing, the other, sleeping, taking a nap. Bye.
Very heartfelt, yes. I wish that you can beat empathy into people.
yeah,
But you can't,
nice.
and people are burned out. I totally understand that. I get it. But we happen to live in an area that does get a lot of refugees, and when you see those people just trying to live their lives, you're like, that's what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as Dustin pointed out, there's really no way to win. But to not fight at all, or to just give up and blow it all away, that's not winning either. That's losing.
Well, especially since you can't blow all of it away without causing the end of all life on Earth.
Yeah, there's that tiny detail too.
So you only blow away a couple of the cities. Well, you have just turned everybody else into... Well, you just made millions of martyrs and turned everybody else completely against you, who, based on the knowledge that we now have about what happens after a nuclear blast, would know they have a shortened life expectancy and a higher risk of cancer, so why not go down in a blaze of glory, killing as many infidels as possible?
Yeah, blowing stuff up. Big stuff just doesn't...
And
you need a surgeon's precision in this kind of thing, and that's all I know, but that's...
And fortunately, we do have experts in how to do the surgical precision stuff, and they are out there doing it.
Yes, they're doing it. They're the unsung heroes, and they're not talked about because they're not allowed to be.
Right.
Because if we were to find out exactly what people have been doing, it would probably destroy the American ideal. But they are out there and they're doing their jobs, and our administration is going to do what they can to stay relevant in the media, which is more nuke talks and making people pay and so on and so forth. That's the media talking. So sometimes if you get burnt out, just turn off Facebook for a few weeks. Turn off Twitter. For the love of God, turn off Twitter.
And Wesley has still not joined us, so...
Poor guy has been on hold now for 2 hours.
Oh, so should we cover his stories or not?
I say we've done a good show. You need to edit.
Just remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.